Good evening, everybody. Huh? No. And good evening, everybody. As this is a public hearing, we don't need a full quorum. The goal here is to take the testimony or comments of folks about our budget. For board members that are running behind schedule, they have access to a recorded version of all of your testimony, so your comments will be heard and seen, by the way. So we're going to begin this public hearing, but I want to mention a couple things first. You know, God forbid that there be an emergency. You see the exit signs, and we would ask that you proceed calmly to each of those exit signs. When there is an emergency, the elevators do not work, so you have to proceed down the stairs in an orderly fashion, and we ask that you do that. If possible, and it's not always possible, we ask that you take a seat. Fire marshal has certain rules about how rooms like this can be used. We ask that you comply with those rules. And one of the rules that we have when we take public testimony is we ask that you respect our time limit. I know it's very frustrating, but in order for us to conduct the business of the people, we have to do it in an orderly, respectful way. And respect in this context means if there's a 2-minute time limit and when that buzzer starts to go off, you have to wrap up your comments. And you notice my voice gets a little deeper when I say that. You have to wrap up your comments. There are people who don't do that. And I'm just going to tell you, all you do is you create angst and anxiety, and you make people wonder, does government work? Don't do that. I do not want to bang the gavel and start an argument with you about your time. And by the way, this is being televised not only by, I think, City 12, but also by news media outlets. And we don't want to give our children examples of what not to do. And I'm going to keep it real with you. Quite often in this building, sometimes we do that. And we as adults have control of that. So I would ask you, because we have 32 speakers, is that right? That's going to require, most of them are going to be adults. That's going to require that you show young people how you can be respectful of rules. Now, some of you might be looking at me saying, why is he preaching down to us? Because I'm telling you, I've been in this room many times, and unfortunately, adults don't do that. I would ask that you set the example that we charge our kids when they go off to school. Be respectful of other folks' rights. And by the way, you're not disrespecting us, you're disrespecting the people who are behind you and have to speak, all right? All right, so without further ado, Madam Clerk, we're gonna begin with our list of speakers. Just give me a minute to pull my list out here. And the other thing is, I apologize, I don't always get names right. And when you take the mic, please, if I've messed up your name, clarify that for the record. Angel Jimenez. Angel Jimenez.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Angel Jimenez. I am a sophomore at P-Tech High School. I'm here today to discuss the budget cuts that are being made. It's negatively impacting our RCSD counselors. One of the counselors that the budget cut is affecting is Miss Julie Rossetti. She has helped me in multiple ways. If she was to be cut out of her position, I wouldn't have anyone to help me with the problems I'm having in school. I want to have anyone to help me get important things like a job. Most importantly, I want to have the loving, caring, strong-hearted person that Ms. Rossetti is. You shouldn't have to cut the counselors from the RCSD. They really are the only people who actually interact with, love, and care about the students enough to help them with their lives. I believe I speak for all the students when I say that counselors help and improve our student experience in school.
Thank you, sir. Logan James.
Unfortunately, Logan James couldn't make it tonight, but I'll be reading his letter.
All right.
All right, I'll just start. My name is Logan James. I am presently a sophomore at P-Tech High School. I am writing to discuss the budget issues in the RCSD and that the cutting of certain positions is under discussion. One person that would be affected by this is my counselor, Miss Julie Rossetti. I am asking for her position here at P-Tech to be saved. She is a very important person, not only in this school, but in many students' lives, mine included. If you were to ask any student at P-Tech who their favorite teacher is, they'd ask if Ms. Rossetti counts. She has helped many of us with personal and educational issues. She has helped and continues to help me with a multitude of issues ranging from problems with friends to anxieties and depression. If she was to be removed from P-Tech, it would put a massive dent in morale here and would cause nothing but problems. I guarantee that everyone has their own Julie Rossetti in the district. Counselors are one of the most helpful and crucial positions we have in the district. In my personal opinion, the district should either find a way to spend the money more evenly, or if cuts need to be made, we should not fire the people that interact directly with students, but maybe security guards or some other group of staff that are more populated.
Thank you, sir. Precious Gordon. Precious Gordon. Ajay Hudson. Ajay Hudson. Teresa Spivey. Teresa Spivey. She's what? She's coming. Okay, all right, thank you. She will be followed by Amara Anderson. So if that speaker could stand to the left so that we're ready to go. And Amari Woods will follow her.
Hello, my name is Teresa Spivey, and I am here to discuss the option of Rochester City School District sending Rochester Early College International High School back to the Genesee campus. I am a junior at Rochester Early College International High School, and I am completing my junior year at the MCC campus. As expected, I was excited to come to a college campus as a high school student. I did not know what to expect, even after the orientation that was provided for me at MCC. Nothing compared to actually being there. The Rochester City School District is responsible for making all students ready for college or a career. My junior year at the MCC campus have definitely done that. I began school a little rough around the edges. I was not used to the freedom that the college campus offered. The false independence led me to think I do not need people telling me what to do. Over time, with support from my teachers and administrators, I have learned to be responsible for how I manage my time, my academics, and how to advocate for myself in a space where there are other adults who may not know me. Isn't that the college experience? Being on this campus has allowed me to have to figure it out in common areas that were not considered early college, like the library, the cafeteria, and the common spaces that everyone in the building used. While I am still a junior in high school, being on the college campus is a learning experience like no other. If the Rochester City School District is serious about preparing students for college, then do not take away the unique way to do so. I hear that putting a student at a college campus is expensive, but at what cost is too much to offer something that may change a student's life for the better? I am a product of a family of early college graduates and the first to have my high school career continue at a college campus. To the question I asked earlier, what cost is too much for education? My answer is priceless.
Amara Anderson. Amara Anderson will be followed by Amari Woods. Amari Woods. Ace Pradia. Saadi Ali. Is she here? Okay. I would ask if I call your name out, stand to the left so that we can continue to move the speakers along. Stephen Simmons and Jeffrey Rogers will file Ms. Ali. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Sadia Ali, and I am a sophomore at Rochester Early College International High School, and I am here tonight to discuss the future of our school. Rochester Early College is very diverse with great opportunities, especially being in high school but housed on a college campus and taking college classes. This opportunity is good for our scholars because many of our students will be first-generation graduates. Having this opportunity will help us understand how it feels to be a college student and how the classes will be different from high school classes. This is important because even taking classes on the MCC campus, it inspires us to make use of collaborative space, quiet work areas, and a modern library geared to college students. Research done by the Community College Research Center shows that students who take college courses while in high school have an increased rate of four-year university enrollment as well as a higher GPA in college. This research shows that it's a good opportunity for our scholars to take college classes while taking high school classes because it increases the likeliness of students being successful in college. Our school helps scholars strengthen their transcripts and prepare for college. The district puts a great deal of emphasis on high school graduation, and they certainly should. However, you also have a responsibility to prepare students for life after high school. We're still your students, even after graduation. For those of us headed to college, we need to be prepared. And that is exactly what being on a college campus as part of Rochester Early College International High School does. Please do not rob us of that opportunity to prepare for our future just to save some money. Our futures are worth more. Thank you.
Thank you. Stephen Simmons. Stephen Simmons to be followed by Jeffrey Rogers and then Kathy Morrison.
Mic check, mic check. All right, just want to make sure it works. Last time it was a little quiet, so I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me. Good evening, council. It's good to see you again. Hope my being here for the second time proves that I really am passionate about this. So, previously, those who attend my school were speaking on what we get to do at the campus and how that changes us. But I'm here to talk about specifically what it does that changes us. First, I'd like to talk about the campus itself. Being there, it's freeing, it's a large place. We get to rub elbows with those who could become mentors or could provide helpful information on how we could do college. We also get to take college classes there, which allow us to accelerate our learning and be able to go into careers much quicker than any other school would allow us to. And this opportunity is great. The teachers that we have over on that campus specialize in classes that if we put them over at the Genesee campus, they would have to sacrifice in order to schedule and have other classes be taken. That way they could take up space. Now, the students themselves there are phenomenal. Me, Sadia, Jada, Donella, Mohammed, these are the names of kids who accelerated themselves from 10th graders to 11th graders. We were all supposed to be back at Genesee, and we shot ourselves right over there because we were passionate about this. And there's a group of kids I know who are at the Genesee campus currently who would miss out on this opportunity because you cut the budget. Being at that campus is more than just a privilege. It's like a blessing. It's something that we never would have got anywhere else. And I think that's why the state has been putting more money into funding these kinds of schools, because they work. We have, I believe, an 87% graduation rate, one of the top rates within our entire district. And it's a pretty good rate for the whole darn state. So I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak today. And I hope you consider not only the possibility of it changing the lives of other people, but how it could mold the future.
Thank you. Jeffrey Rogers will be followed by Kathy Morrison. Jeffrey Rogers. How about Kathy Morrison? Toy Walker Smith. Just announce your name because I've got a list of names here and I want to make sure I'm... Okay, thank you.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Kind of nervous. I'm up here because of Rochester Early College. My daughter Brianna attends that school. Brianna was a difficult child in her 9th and 10th grade. But Mr. McDonald and Mr. Flemings, they worked with Brianna. And when she went over to the MCC campus, she turned over a new leaf. I mean, her grades went up. I was so proud of her. She's working. And if it wasn't for them being there for my daughter, I don't know where Brianna would be at right now. And when she went over to the MCC campus, I mean, her abilities of being more mature and doing what she had to do to get her life back on track, it turned, I mean, a new leaf. So with you guys, I would suggest don't take that from the kids. I mean, look at the kids' future and wonder about if they wasn't there at that school for Brianna. I don't know where she would be, like I said, and Bree is a new leaf. She's not saying anything, but she's just like Mr. McDonald and everyone over there, just so wonderful. And I just don't want the kids to go back to Genesee campus because that gave her the opportunity to be more mature, growing up, doing what she had to do. That's all I'm saying. I just think that you guys shouldn't do the wrong thing and sending the bigger kids back over to the smaller campus, and that's starting more problems with the youth over there. It's been quiet over there since, and with the 11th and 12th graders being downtown, I think that there is a good space for them. That's all I wanted to say.
Thank you very much. Toy Walker Smith. Okay. She will be followed by Sarah Oliveria and Heather Harris.
Good evening. I'm super nervous. I didn't know this was going to be televised, and I did not wear my Spanx, so we're just being honest. I am the proud parent of 3 wonderful 34 school students, Phoenix Vision and Legend Smith. They're in the back. And I was very saddened to find out that there were going to be cuts made to their budget for the ELT program. My children and other students at their school have directly benefited from the ELT program. They've had the wonderful opportunity to participate with the Quad A program, which is absolutely amazing, arts and percussion, the one-on-one personalized time that's needed for their students, and the Future City. And I don't know if many of you know, but number 34 school placed #1 in the district with the Future City thanks to the ELT program. Cutting the ELT program would be detrimental to the students because it's about equity. The suburban students have this opportunity to have all these wonderful benefits. Our city school students deserve the same opportunity. Thank you for your time.
My name is Sarah Oliveri, and I'm a parent of 2 children in the Rochester City School District, as well as a teacher in the district. I've read many times about the Maasai tribe in Africa. There's a greeting that's passed beyond the warriors that says, Kasarian Injira. It means, how are the children? The traditional answer or response is, all the children are well. When people ask me, and how are the children, I want to be able to say the children are well. Yesterday, I sat in an all-day restorative practice training with 20 8th grade students who have been identified as struggling. I watched 3 Wilson students and 1 Leadership Academy student work their magic as they told their stories and used their training as ROC responders. The facilitators shared how the ROC restorative team taught them how to listen and how to elevate their voices so they could be heard. Contracts with agencies such as the Gandhi Institute, Center for Youth, and Partners in Restorative Initiatives have added and strengthened our village. As a special education teacher, it's hard for me to even speak. I can tell you the children are not well, and many of us are working beyond what humans are capable of. Funding is needed for 12 additional positions in special education department to provide administrative support when the case positions are eliminated. If we plan to make drastic changes within the special education department, again, we better be prepared. Any remaining funding should be used to restore library, music, and the arts programs. As a teacher this year, I applied for grants for books and asked for donated cameras and funding to submit my students into a student community photography art show. But I'm getting tired of asking, and I worry soon that my community will be tired of giving. When people ask me, and how are the children, I want them to be able to look them in the eye and say, the children are well.
Heather Harris. Heather Harris. Heather Harris. How about Amara Anderson? Huh? No, they were here earlier, so I'm just calling.
Hi, my name is Amara Anderson, and I am 14 years old. I'm a vocal major at School of the Arts, and I'm also a youth organizer at Teen Empowerment. I've come to speak on budget cutting and, most important, student voice. My experience with music in elementary school inspired me to do what I do today, which is singing. It taught me to be open-minded and explore beyond what I grew up listening to. Music was and still is a great way of expressing myself, and of course, doing what I love. I'm sure there's lots of students who have the same aspiration or dreams as me, but cutting the budget or not funding arts can limit that and leaves lots of ambition to a dead end. This is why student voice is important. Cutting different resources and activities without student voice, in my opinion, is unfair because it ruins hope and starts to make student interaction with the schools difficult and hopeless. I strongly believe that we have not been able to use our rights to the fullest according to the Code of Conduct under Student Rights and Responsibilities, number 12, which says, to organize with other students and self-represent in important school decision-making processes. I feel like we aren't being able to use that because of the simple fact that lots of things have potentially been cut that us students need, such as restorative practices, help zones, Center for Youth, special education, home careers, and as I say again, music. As an example, School of the Arts is successful because of the art majors. If you cut music, it will take away students' motivation towards different subjects. This can impact our graduation rate drastically and the future of all students. Even beyond soda, we all need this outlet. I believe my voice matters and that making these decisions without students' input, hearing how the student feels with decisions like these can disengage lots of students. I hope you take what I said seriously and fully understand and rethink decisions the board is making, and also be mindful of our generation today and what it desperately needs. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Ace Pradia. Ace Pradia. I understand that she is here, came late. Ace Pradia. Heather Harris and Catherine Baruth. You're Ace, yep, but I'm just trying to make sure that the other folks are ready. So you will be followed by Heather Harris and Catherine Baruth.
How you doing? How you guys doing? My name is Ace. I attend All City High School, but my home school is Wilson. The Gandhi Institute was one of the best used cause of helping a student out my 9th and 10th grade year. That was a place you can go for sanity and to clear your head with no judgment. Once that was taken out, the same troubled kids are now feeling deprived, and now makes a student feel at unease. And now instead of talking out their problems to find a solution, are now being sent to ISS, which puts them under stress. And what we all know, high school is already stressful enough. By taking out the help zones or having them and them not being effective for students is damaging our youth. So I ask you to fully fund our Help Zone and Gandhi Institute, or any program that will help release some stress that's going on in our youth lives. Because we are the future, and we can't be a leader with so much resolve on issues. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Heather Harris, followed by Catherine Baruth. Are you Catherine? All right, I don't see Heather here, so why don't you come on up?
Good evening. My name is Catherine Baroth, and I'm the parent of 2 children in the district. One of my children has multiple disabilities. My son switched schools this past fall. We are happy with his new school. However, it was a reminder as to just how much a parent has to advocate for their child when a school does not know him or her at all. IEPs don't tell the full story of the child. I am privileged in my ability to be able to take time off of work to fill this role. The case position is to be eliminated at the end of June, yet the new structure has been allotted 3 years' time to be fully functional. During this time, only 16 staff will be working with assistant principals to train them. 16 staff when there are 6,000 students in special ed. Wow. These 16 new district-level employees will have to oversee roughly 375 annual meetings during this transition, plus cover extra CSE meetings. Assistant principals will be overtaxed, as our school's case has a very full schedule as it is. If you are going to attempt a massive structural reorganization, it can only be effective if it is overstaffed during this time. You must add more positions. The kids in special ed will pay the price for this understaffing. Those filling the role of the eliminated case will not know the child as the case did. When families need additional CSE meetings, the district employee will have hundreds of children they oversee. The child loses their humanity in this kind of volume. Again, IEPs do not tell the full story of the child. Not all parents can spend the time continually advocating for their children to people who don't know them at the school level. It leaves the most important voice out of the conversation, the parents. Congratulations, you've balanced your budget. It feels like you've done so on the backs of special ed students. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Victoria Robinson, followed by Mercedes Phelan. Victoria, I see you there. She'll be followed by Mercedes Phelan and Ricardo Adams.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Victoria Robertson. I'm the parent of 2 students at Wilson High School, and I'm here to advocate for the restorative practices programs and the help zones, school climate. The changes that have been made have been demonstrated through evidence to be impacting academic success. You can feel it in the building. One of the other speakers talked about some of our wonderful Wilson students who've been trained as mediators. But just because progress is being made, you can't take those supports away. We still need the help zones. We still need the coaches to be there to keep this program needs to grow, not shrink. So I think that is super important. Academics aren't going to happen when the climate isn't there, when kids aren't ready to learn and in a place where they're comfortable and ready and safe. We've got to keep going with the restorative practices. I'd also like to mention, as Catherine did much more eloquently than I can, the role of the case and the impact of changes. When we do a systemic change, you should be at least fully staffing it. But to do a cut and then to also say we're going to fundamentally change how you do this is another recipe for disaster. And we know this district has done that time and time again. So please reconsider that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mercedes Phelan will be followed by Ricardo Adams.
I wasn't really fully prepared, my bad. So, hi, my name is Mercedes Phelan. I am the lead organizer for Citizen Action of New York. And I'm also a parent of the Rochester City School District. I'm here tonight because I'm annoyed and confused. I shouldn't have to be here. I'm not a rocket scientist, but it's pretty clear that restorative practices works. So I can't understand why that it was not put in the original proposed budget. Nonetheless, here I am on behalf of Citizen Action of New York to demand that no budget is passed in the district without $1 million for restorative practices, another $1 million for technical services, and another $1 million for special education. If this is not included in the budget, then we are setting ourselves up to lose the very democratic process that put you in those seats. The data is very clear. Since restorative practices has been implemented, suspensions have been down 40%. Our district has already failed a whole generation of students. Let's not make the same mistake twice. We don't need the state telling us what to do. We elected you to be the voices of our community. Within 3 days, 113 people sent you emails saying, don't pass the budget without these items. We are here now telling you the same exact thing. I hope you're listening to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Ricardo Adams will be followed by Iman Scanlon. I know he's here. Amen. I'm sorry. And then Mr. Scanlon will be followed by Jennifer Bannister.
Damon.
I always mess it up.
Hi, Commissioners. I'm Eamon Scanlon from the Children's Agenda. We did our second analysis of the city school district budget. This year was very challenging because you've made so many changes in the proposed budget that it's hard to keep up with all the impacts on students. But I am going to reiterate and highlight the two issues of restorative practices in school climate and special education. A lot's already been said about positive school climate, the impact it has on kids. You even have charts here showing your reduction in suspensions. There are the restorative coaches, the 10 positions. I know that's really important to push for. I would say do not fund any of those positions under grants. The My Brother's Keeper grant that you could apply for this year, you wouldn't be able to hire staff till February. So you would be at a decreased capacity even if you were to get that grant in the future. But more importantly, the help zones in your budget, you're proposing to cut 5 help zones. If we want to increase our progress to ban suspensions on K through 2, which I know some of you have talked about, it's really important that there's a support and an alternative in the buildings. So we should have help zones in all the buildings, not be taking them away. That's a way we could make an improvement and change policy, is having that support. And there's a lot of other things, a lot of contracts that we don't always see in the budget, but some of them were mentioned. Also, what hasn't been mentioned, Center for Dispute Settlement has a contract with the district to do peer mediation. I think it's only $11,000, so that's not a lot of money, but it has a big impact on students. And again, with special ed, I've had a lot of conversations about this. An additional 12 positions is important to make sure that succeeds. I don't know if that's enough, frankly, when you're cutting back a net of 24 over those duties and you're doing professional development within buildings. That's a big task. And the failure under Barbara Dean Williams, I think, should be instructive that I'd rather be, have it overstaffed than understaffed. It's really dangerous. These are some of the most vulnerable kids in our district. They deserve the most support, I think, frankly. You have tough decisions to make, but don't fail those kids again.
Thank you. Jennifer Bannister will be followed by Reba Evans-Wood, and she will be followed by Shannon Henderson.
Good day.
Good day.
I'm Jennifer Bannister. I'm with the Center for Teen Empowerment and also have worked on the Community Task Force on School Climate for the last 4 to 5 years, and appreciate you hearing from us. So first of all, I really appreciate the proactive role that the board has taken in facilitating this really powerful and long view work of school climate over time. You've been working with supporting district staff and innovative community partnerships to make that happen. And that needs to be included ongoing in the budget because I think that you've all shown that you know that this is a long-term commitment. 2 lessons for this year's budget that I think we've taken from our work over these years is that it's an all-hands-on-deck collective effort. I think that's been stated in lots of ways over time. It requires partnership and champions in all sectors, and that is inside and outside of the district. And these are also some of the most cost-effective strategies that are really mutually supporting each other. So, for example, the School Climate Advisory Committee really emphasized a combination of supporting partnerships that allows families and parents and families more ways to get into this work of creating a restorative district, and seeing students as partners in improving school climate. So students have talents, creative vision, energy, peer influence that sets a tone, can set a tone for our school if we empower it. And that tone being, we want to take care of each other. This is our school. We want to succeed and take care of each other. We also need supports on the ground like the Gandhi Institute and the Center for Youth. They've been lovingly staffing help zones with all different kinds of skill sets that they bring. And then even getting creative within the schools. The schools that seem to have been most successful so far are even getting creative with their positions. So for example, there's an SSO, chief SSO, who talked about always restraining kids, feeling like that was the only way he could get across to them, and now feels like he actually runs the cool down room and has seen like a 95% change in the kind of responses from those young people. And then ultimately supporting Rock Restorative and other school level efforts to really empower this work and collegial sharing between schools that haven't gotten to really feel like restorative practices in the code are working for them yet. They're going to get it as they hear from their colleagues and see evidence of successes. So please allow Rock Restorative and these other partnerships to support that work.
Thank you. Reba Evans-Wood. She'll be followed by Shannon Henderson.
Good evening. Good evening, members of the school board, and thank you for letting me speak tonight. My name is Reba Evans-Woods, and I work as an attendance homeschool assistant in the City School District. I am also a proud graduate of Rochester City School District, class of 2009. And it's thanks to this amazing team of Hope School assistants standing with me here tonight. We are a group of people who care. The very same team of committed employees saw to it that I had a good educational career while attending City School District schools and beyond. It is because of that team I am where I am today, a Rochester City School District employee on the same team. All I would like to do is to share the same compassion, patience, love, and hope to our future and our children, just like my colleagues supported me when I was in school. I was fortunate enough to have individuals as such that were compassionate and really cared about me. That's what homeschool assistants are, attendance homeschool assistants are, and we care. We take the time to learn about challenges and their dealings at home, and we work with parents and kids to get them back on track. We show every single day how much we truly care. Are the kids of our future not good enough for the same treatment I got as a student? Your current answer to that is no, and you don't care if you cut our positions. Help us help our kids. Keep all our positions, and don't cut them from the budget.
Thank you. Shannon Henderson will be followed by Tamiko Matthews. And she will be followed by Carisha Dent.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
I am Shannon Henderson. This is my son, Lamar. I am currently a mother to this young man in the district, and I'm also a homeschool assistant for the district. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I am so nervous right now, y'all. So after the Trayvon Rowe tragedy, it kind of hit me personally, because my son is a 10-year-old special needs nonverbal child. And so when I heard that these positions were being created specifically for that, honestly, I felt it was a blessing from God. And to allow me to be able to get a position in the district, it was truly a blessing. So, 8 months later, the fact that they might be my position might be cut. It hurts just because I know the work that we go out and we do. Just in case you guys don't know, we make phone calls to students of the district, and we go out and make home visits to the students. And, you know, some of the conversations I have with some of these parents, some of the things that they tell me, you know, they haven't heard someone come to their house, you know, call them concerned about their child. And it just makes me feel so good that I could be the person to help them with whatever it is that they're going through at home. Honestly, I had a lot more to say, and I'm like really, really nervous right now, but honestly, I feel like cutting this position at this moment, it is far too early. Just give us the opportunity to be able to show you that these jobs were created for a reason. Because I just want to take back our kids. I truly do. And even if it was to get cut, I'm still taking back our kids because our kids mean everything to me. So I thank you for this.
Thank you. Tamiko Matthews will be followed by Carisha Dent, and then Daniel DiClemente.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Tamiko Matthews. I'm also a homeschool assistant in the Rochester City School District. I work for Rochester Early College, Wilson Foundation, and number 29 school. I kind of had something scripted, but I just want to say, first and foremost, I will feel like it would be a big disservice if this department got a cut the way you guys are planning on cutting it. It would be a big disservice to the families that we are serving in our community, the children that we are helping. From doing home visits, I've reached out to a lot of families, people that I graduated with who need help, and I was able to help them with food, clothing, shelter, along with getting their children back in school. For a lot of our families I meet, we have conversations with them. They're only positive interactions, and they're, again, piggybacking off of my coworker, they feel like it's a big service that we're helping them out, coming out and checking on their children, because obviously no one was doing it in the past. And now that we're doing it, they find it thankful, they're grateful, respect that we come out. As of doing our blitz today, they was happy to see that we still care. There are people in this district that cares, people that they reach out to, they can't get a call back from them. But when we go out to the homes, we're able to help them families with the things that they were reaching out to the school for. So we're able to take the information back to the schools, and then schools are able to follow up with it. We do more than just home visits. We do more than just making phone calls. We give parents conversation. Sometimes they just need an ear because they need that help with getting their child in school, but they just need an ear, someone to talk to and help them get on track to where they can get that service or something for their child. Being that I work at number 29 school, that school has a lot of children that have needs. Going out to families when doing a home visit, they couldn't send their child to school. I would take homework home to them on top of doing my home visit. Working with my students at Rochester Early College, I do the MCC campus and the Genesee Street campus. I've grown to learn a lot of students, learn the needs of students and staff. I'm sorry, but I got a lot more I could say, but I thank you for this time.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Carisha Dent. She will be followed by Daniel DiClemente and then Ali Abdul Mateen.
Good evening, members of the board.
Good evening.
Attendees. My name is Carisha Dent, and I am an attendance homeschool assistant for the Rochester City School District, as well as a proud parent of 2 young men in the district. I work closely with school number 5, school number 57, and school without walls. The administration's budget proposal would cut 10 HSA positions in the school district. I could give you all the statistics that prove the work we're doing is having a huge impact on our students. But instead, I'm going to share some of the personal stories that my colleagues and I have experienced. One of my coworkers looks after a high school senior who has cancer. When she realized this student hadn't been to school in a few weeks, my colleague called her mother to see how the student was doing. Her mother told my colleague, "Thank you so much for calling." A different colleague of mine worked with 3 families this past year to get them safe, permanent housing. We do this work because we care. We care about the students and their families. We strive every day to make sure our students are achieving academically. The system that we have developed and the relationships we've created actually make a difference in the students' lives. And this is about the safety and well-being of our students. We can't go back to the old system. It didn't work then, and it won't work now. No one else in the Rochester City School District does the work that we do. There aren't enough homeschool assistants as it is. Please, do the right thing for our kids. Reject these horrible cuts to our homeschool assistants. Thank you.
Thank you. Daniel D. Clemente will be followed by Ali Abdul Mateen.
I represent the homeschool assistants who will lose their jobs under the superintendent's proposed budget. 980. That's how many homes were visited by these foot soldiers in 1 month. 11,000. 11,000, that's how many phone calls were made to families by the same set of miracle workers during the month of March. The homeschool assistants are part of an attendance initiative that was put forth last July in an effort to prevent another tragic incident like the one we will never forget that happened in 2018. Since that time, this small group of city residents has managed to establish a trust between those who only care about kids and kids who feel like no one has ever cared about them at all. They take families out of shelters and find them homes. They brighten the day of a high school senior battling cancer with a simple phone call. And they speak from the heart to students who come from a place that both of them have seen. They will dog a parent until their kid comes back to school, and they will watch over that kid like a mother hen once he's back. They have sympathy and empathy and compassion, and their mission isn't confined to any classroom. They're out there knocking on doors during an ice storm. They're talking to parents on their front porch in the middle of a heat wave, and they're pounding the pavement in those neighborhoods where most wouldn't even consider to venture. Their shift doesn't end at 4 o'clock if a parent won't stop talking till 5 because, as one of them put it to me, there's no way a teacher can teach a child who isn't in the classroom. These are mothers and fathers and nieces and nephews who come from the neighborhoods of the families they serve. And they're fulfilling a promise that the board made to parents that they would do everything in their power to prevent another tragedy. And now, 10 of the 20 jobs that were created to keep kids safe are being eliminated. Well, on behalf of the students who have returned to school thanks to their tenacity, and with respect to the parents, they've kept calm while locating their children and getting them to graduate, I am asking the board to please restore the homeschool assistants and keep the promise you made to this community when you hired them less than 1 year ago today. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Ali Abdul Mateen. He will be followed by Julie Rosette. Is Julie Rosette here? Ali Abdul Mateen, Julie, oh, there's Julie. Deanne Finewood is next. No,
Good evening. My name is Julie Rossetti. I'm a first-year school counselor and restorative team member at PTech. I'd like to use my time today to read a list of school counselor job duties and responsibilities in hopes that you reconsider cutting any positions that are vital to Student Support Network. Scheduling, schedule changes, transcript review, 4-year plans, tracking and updating data, managing multiple grade levels, caseloads between 200 and 300 students, knowing each student by face and name, report card review each marking period, progress letters sent home to each student each marking period without secretarial help, enrolling students in marking period recovery and extended day programs, open house, planning and facilitating parent-teacher conferences, honor roll and other awards assemblies, graduation status review and letters, graduation ceremony planning, tracking graduating seniors and coming up with alternative plans, communication with families, phone calls, emails, data requests, crisis sessions, one-on-one sessions, support center and mental health referrals, suicide assessments, safety plans and follow-up meetings, communication with teachers, coordinating and planning groups for students, facilitating restorative circles, restorative team meetings, mediations, subbing for classroom teachers as an emergency substitute, top GPA celebration planning ceremonies, community agency meetings, regents exam scheduling, testing committee meetings and assistance during exams, recommending students for opportunities inside and outside of the school, college fairs, job shadow field trips, college trips, CSE meetings, 504 meetings, and referrals. Instant application days, college applications, college workshops and classroom presentations, letters of recommendation, scholarship applications, tracking attendance, requesting home visits, shout out to my amazing homeschool assistants, completing attendance referrals, planning interview forms when students need to be dropped, presenting at superintendent's conference days, cap and gown measurement and payment collection, RTI meetings, Naviance lessons, classroom presentations. I know I'm out of time. The list isn't done. My job isn't done. Please don't cut school counselors.
Thank you. Thank you. Dion Finewood.
Good evening. I'm a teacher at Rochester Early College, and I stand before you tonight to ask the board to seriously reconsider the proposed budget cuts, specifically removing our scholars from the MCC campus, cutting the homeschool assistants, and cutting the case positions. Rochester students face significant challenges on a daily basis. Our children come from one of the poorest cities in the nation. They're being educated in a failing school system with a graduation rate slightly above 50%, and they face an increasing rate of school-to-prison pipeline. However, Rochester Early College offers our scholars hope for a better future. We are one of a few high schools in good standing. This is certainly money well spent. We have a graduation rate of 87%. This has been money well spent. We offer our scholars a free education on a college campus. This has been money well spent. There's no substitution for the college immersion experience. We have been presented with roadblocks and challenges on multiple occasions. As we work to advance our vision and mission forward, actions from the district demonstrate a school on a backwards path. We have risen to each challenge. I ask the board, rise to the current challenge and continue to invest in the future of our scholars. The choice is clear. We can invest money now, or we can invest money later when we address the increasing poverty rates, increasing incarceration rates, and poor graduation outcomes. Please do not rob our scholars of a future that was promised to them by this district. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeffrey Rogers. Jeffrey Rogers.
Hello, my name is Jeffrey Rogers. I'm a student that goes to James Miller High School. And I started to notice a lot of things, and I did a lot of research, that Rochester School District, it has one of the highest paying jobs in New York State. All that funding, all to pay these salaries is ridiculous. And those people who work downtown, they're not in the buildings. They're not seeing what's really happening. And then what's really, you're cutting all these teachers. When I started to notice, and it's wrong for these students to do this, but they get so attached to these teachers where when they get cut, they don't want to come to school either because they're done. And you're cutting so much funding. I mean, field trips from this to that, art programs, art and gym, all that. It makes us come to school. It makes us feel motivated because without that, you know, that the school is just not a school. A school is supposed to be your second home. We're there for almost 8 hours a day. And you're supposed to be our second parents. You're not supposed to be just walking out on us. I mean, that's not how districts are supposed to work. A $25 million budget, I mean, that's ridiculous. You add $75 more on it, again, that's billions and that's $1 billion. So if you just understand us students and just stop cutting stuff that hurts our education, and you cut some of those fundings, all the fundings for those salaries for people who work downtown, people who work downtown are making 6 figures and they're not in the buildings working with us. They're not counseling us.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Melissa Rich will be followed by Jennifer Edwards. Melissa Rich will be followed by Jennifer Edwards. And finally, Jennifer Kelly. All right, let's try that again. Melissa Rich, Jennifer Edwards.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm Jennifer Edwards. I've had the privilege of being part of the Rochester Early College family for 5 years. In this time, the Rochester Early College staff, scholars, and families have risen to meet and exceed every challenge placed in front of us. Our family has stayed true to its original vision and mission, founded in 2009. Our family has fought vigorously to move towards the ultimate goal of being an early college high school located on a college campus. Last school year, our vision became a reality. This was the first year that our 11th and 12th grade scholars were granted placement on the MCC college campus. As a result of this desired relocation, our family had made significant gains and accomplishments. The number of scholars who have seized the opportunity to take college courses on the MCC campus has greatly increased. Scholars have also capitalized on the unique and age-appropriate resources and doorways that have been opened to them. Scholars are consistently immersed in an inclusive college-going culture and have access to the MCC tutoring centers, labs, learning common area, and a community engagement center. All of these resources and opportunities have legitimized our school's vision and mission to provide an innovative educational opportunity that cultivates confident, college-immersed, globally competent scholars. These accomplishments and assets would never have become a reality if we weren't located on the MCC campus. Just when we thought our district supported and understood our unique early college program, the proposed budget shows otherwise. Moving our scholars back to the Genesee campus not only disregards our accomplishments, but also sends a discouraging and disheartening message to our scholars and families. Moving backwards is not the solution. Increasing graduation, degree completion, and the number of college graduates pursuing careers for our historically underrepresented, economically disadvantaged students is the solution. Immersing our scholars in the college-going culture is the solution and path forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Ricardo Adams. Ricardo, you are on the list.
My name is Ricardo Adams, and I'm sure that everybody has spoke to all of the issues. My concern is that it's important that we know some stuff has, if you cut that, there's other repercussions. Some stuff is so important, like especially like restorative. It affects climate, it affects attendance, it affects everything. School to prison pipeline, it affects everything. So we need to be I'm actually running for school board, and one of my things that I said I was going to do is try to increase staffing in these things that I know work from being in the school. Instead, I find myself over here fighting just to keep this stuff alive. I don't understand that. We got to change the direction that we're going. We have to do something radical, and I know nothing happens fast. It took us, no matter how of a crisis, you got to know things don't go that fast. They was lynching us for 300 and something years. That was a crisis, but it still was a slow process. It was. So we have to stop, think, and there's some stuff we just cannot be cutting, man. We just cannot be cutting. The stuff that affect them in them buildings, I see working, we need to be increasing that. And we got professional finance people. We need to figure out a way to make it work. That's, I mean, I'm sure the people here, especially the ones in these red hoodies, probably have told you ways that probably will work. Maybe we just need to listen. Thank you.
I have one last speaker, Devith. Is that the name, Madam Clerk? Devith? Devith. Is she here? Yes. And I understand we need an interpreter. Is that right?
Hello? Can you hear me?
Well, no, we have an interpreter if you'd like.
Right here. Hello? Can you guys hear me well? Okay.
Okay.
Just in case he's here.
Okay. All right.
Hi, my name is Divette Garcia. I'm a single mother. I have 3 children. My children and I arrived here after Hurricane Maria in Puerto Rico. I can tell you that my daughter has felt discriminated against in school. The school didn't give her the support she needs, not only her, but also other Puerto Rican students like her. Came under difficult circumstances. I also have a child with autism, and the school district delight in the placement process. That is why I sought the service of Empire Justice, so they will help speed up the process. I'm sure other mothers feel the frustration at the lack of quick action. There need to be more support in school districts given to the students of their cultures that are in minority. There should be programs after school, art, music, or sport that can meet the needs of children in special needs. I want school to promote activities that integrate the special education children and guidance for non-special education students toward inclusion so that special education students are not marginalized. Thank you.
Gracias. Okay, I'm just going to read out the names of people who weren't here earlier, or perhaps I missed them. Ali Abdul Mateen, let's see, Amari Woods, and Heather Harris. Since those individuals are not here, I'm going to adjourn this special budget hearing, and we're going to reconvene in 5 minutes for our regular business meeting. Thank you very much.
You missed us.
Who? Oh, I'm sorry, Jennifer. Oh, I'm very sorry. Jennifer Kelly, come on down. Sorry about that. There also was a Melissa Rich. Is Miss Rich here? Okay, all right. Go ahead, Miss Kelly.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Kelly, and I am the school librarian at Dr. Walter Cooper Academy. I am also the 2018-2019 New York Library Association section of the School Librarians President. Our library department is at the risk of having 14 libraries at a cut to 0.5, just having a librarian.
My name's at risk of having 14 elementary schools cut to a 0.5 librarian. My name is Wendy Brennan. I'm the librarian at Charles T. Lunsford School 19.
For many of the students of the Rochester School District, going to the school library is their only access to books and the other rich resources in the school library. Every library should be staffed with a full-time certified school librarian. School librarians provide technology support for the entire school community, teach the students how to stay safe online, and teach them how to use information ethically. This is digital literacy.
Many research studies have shown that having a full-time school librarian improves students' reading ability. School librarians select culturally relevant resources for the school community. School librarians also fulfill a unique role in the relationships they forge with students through being a stable presence in a place that many students see as a sanctuary, a quiet place to drop in, to be calm and be supported, explore and read for pleasure. This can make a huge difference in their day and in their future. School librarians collaborate with teachers to co-teach subject content and provide the most engaging and appropriate resources for the students to become critical thinkers and prepare them for college, careers, and lifelong learning. Dr. Maya Angelou was a big advocate of libraries, and I'd like to end with one of her quotes. "The best candy shop a child can be left alone in is the library." Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is Melissa Rich here? Did I hear somebody say yes? No? All right, that concludes our public hearing on the budget. We appreciate your attendance, and we're going to adjourn for 5 minutes and begin our regular business meeting. Thank you. How you doing, Cynthia?
Everything's there.
One of my students couldn't come tonight. They wrote like an essay. Can I leave it with you guys? Oh, okay. All right, thanks for making sure everybody gets a copy. Thank you very much. Thank you.
That's like when they prove out. You just want to make sure I'm still alive. I'm still alive. I know. It all make it feel back. It's like, it's hot. It's exhausting. I know. I just came here to excited over as soon as she starts crying and stuff. They go like I'm in shock. I know. Everything. Hi. And then I can probably see you again too, and I'm going to take a look. I will hope not, because that's the thing that takes me. Thank you, Trisha. Yeah, I know. You better hang this hard because you're ready to get that head. I'll talk to Paul again. I will, this weekend. The whole hour I opened in information. So now, when did you see it?
All right, we are going to resume our meeting. We're actually running a bit behind schedule, so want to get started. Oh, excuse me. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to get started. It's already way past the starting time of the meeting. It's 6:46.
Just do the gavel and start.
Yep. As traditional, we're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. And I see a young lady over there, younger than me, got a backpack. Yep. Would you help us and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? We always like to have a young person do it. You're younger than most of us. All right. Well, no, I was referring to that young lady. Okay, all right. Fair enough. Let's see. Ray, you're looking mighty young today. Let's make older people feel young. Ray, why don't you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Cynthia had me do it the other day.
Oh, did she?
Felt really young.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you, Ray. All right, we have no speakers addressing an agenda item, and we also have no speakers addressing an item on the agenda, so we're going to begin with our superintendent reports, and I know I saw Dr. Sean Nelms out there.
Start the financials. Sean, do you want to sit here?
You're supposed to, but on your days.
Oh, no.
Sit down, Dan. You're good, man.
I don't think he's coming up now.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Sorry. I was talking to a parent outside. You know, parents first.
That's right.
That's right. Give me some. That's right. That's right. All right. I just want to give a brief update on to the board on some of the demonstrable indicators from the high school, and PowerPoint's going to be played over here. Thank you, sir. Sorry. Get clear? Yep. Thanks. All right. So I know we often give updates on certain indicators or factors. And today's indicator, this is not the right one. No. That's all right. As he figures that out, I want to just address the board also and talk about we gave some data to the board in their packet, I believe, last week around the literacy, the kids and I wasn't here at the last board meeting, but the students who were with us in 6th grade that we were tracking for literacy, and there was a number of kids who were no longer at East, and there's some questions from the board around where did they end up. We gave a response to that, and you'll see that a lot of the kids moved out of the district, some to private, a couple to charters, but I wanted to make sure that the board received that information, and if not, I can resend it. You did receive it, right? And so I know there's some questions around where students are moved, and was it our attempt to actively transfer kids? I want to make sure that the board saw the complex nature of how kids are transiting in and out of the district. And so that was, many of the kids moved to other places outside of Monroe County, and then a couple went to other schools throughout the city. But that happens a ton, and I want to make sure that the board understands that East also receives students throughout the year from other schools and kids from outside the city also. So thank you, that was it was a good question. It forces us to actually go back and look at the data by kid, something we hadn't done before. So those questions are really helpful to us in trying to understand how much our kids move in and out of the district and out of schools, but also make us understand the importance of tracking those students internally. Since that conversation, we've been in contact with folks within the district to say, how are we tracking students who move from building to building? More importantly, how can we be tighter in sharing information about that child? So if a kid transfers from East in 8th grade to 9th grade to another building in the city district, for whatever reason, if it's going to Soda for dance or going to another school for an academic program, how are we transferring our knowledge about that kid as they transfer? And it's something that we're going to be a little bit more thoughtful about, thinking about how can we orchestrate that or coordinate that. I tried to do the same thing in several suburban districts, and it was a little easier because the kids went from the same elementary school to the same middle school. Mm-hmm. So I could take my teachers from middle school as a principal and meet with the elementary kids. But I think that information tracking becomes essential. I also would say that, I don't know what this is. I also would say that another thing that I noticed recently in visiting the Links program, something I follow up from one of our executive session meetings, is that I realized that at Links, if a student from 5 different schools all require 9th grade English as an intervention, if those students aren't using the same curriculum, how difficult it is to instruct those kids. And so I know that the leadership team over there, to their credit, are trying to figure out a tighter system. But I was thinking about a lot of gaps that I'm noticing in terms of how do we share information. It's something that I haven't seen done well in suburban schools either. But with the amount of transiency that we have among our students, we got to think about that moving forward a little bit, about sharing of information and how we do that more a little tighter. It looks like that's not going to work. So I'm assuming that you have this PowerPoint, and if not, I'll just kind of speak to it so that those in the audience can understand what I'm reading from. The state determines if a school is effective or not based on the demonstrable indicators. These indicators they range from school safety and serious incidents to the number of students who required to pass ELA or math or grad rates. And at the upper school currently, looking at our information, we've already met most of those indicators. There are 2 that are in the yellow, we call them, that we're still monitoring because it's graduation dependent. But I'm really proud of the work that Marlene Blocker and her team have done at the high school to track these students starting in 9th grade. This is our first cohort that's been at East for 4 years, graduating this year. And so we were able to follow these kids all 4 years to see exactly what they're doing. And our seniors this year have met essentially all their benchmarks, either the target or the goals. And so that's a really proud moment for us. I also, in the packet, highlighted an issue that we still struggle with. And I'm happy that Dan has set up a meeting with us and some of the principals in the district so we can start to combine and collaborate and share practices. Attendance remains an issue for us. I think it's an issue that is pervasive throughout the district. If you look at the elementary, even their attendance rates, I think it's an issue we have to tackle as a community. If you look at our percent of attendance, particularly those, on slide 4, I labeled this time, Commissioner LeBron, on slide 4, those between 10% and the combined rate, the chronic and severe combined, you know, we have literally 48% of our kids who are missing more than 10 days of school. And it's not on the same day. So you look at average daily attendance, and you'll see, hey, you know, we have 92% at lower school, or we have 85 at upper school. But the individual attendance of kids in the district and kids missing 10 to 20 days it's more than I've ever seen in most districts. And so it's something that, you got it, brother? Thank you so much. No, that's fine, man. We work together around here. So it's something that we really have to address collectively. We continue to do that. What I've noticed in the past is that we often focus on the kids who are who've never come to school, in terms of those kids we go and we try to find them who've been out of school for 20 or 40 days. I really want to make sure that at least we're trying to focus on the kids who are that 10 to 20 day mark, because those kids are coming like often. And not to forget the other kids, you do that work too. But we're trying to create a separate type of system. We do it with our counselors right now and our attendance clerk to really focus on those kids who are getting at 8, 9 days. Because we lose the kids who are from 10 to 20 days, that chronic absentee number gets way out of whack. And chronic absenteeism under ESSA is the one thing that if you don't do well in, no matter how well you do academically, you're going to be tagged. And so no matter how well a school does academically, if they're deemed for chronic absenteeism, the federal government is going to continue to cite them. And so it's a really serious indicator, and it's something that we're continuing to track and monitor. But we're going to put some special emphasis on those kids who are between 10 and 20 days. And I think we all are as a district. But I want to bring that attention to the board, because it's something that we're working on. It's something we have not done well over the last 4 years, or as well as we can, even though we've made tremendous gains in average daily attendance. Yep.
Can we ask questions?
Absolutely, go right
ahead. This particular slide, since you're here now. Van, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
So, yeah, the numbers, like, extremely startling, and I'm glad that you guys are going to look at some ways to address. You know, I agree on all of it in terms of the absentee, the 10% to the 19.99%, and the 20% and over for severe, and then just combining it, it is almost 50%. I would like to ask that as you start to have that conversation and start figuring out what resources and model you're going to do to address it, that if you could share that with us in the future, because this is a trend in all the schools.
Right.
We see it all across. And I would like us to figure out a way. I think the home assistance folks that were here is absolutely one of those key pieces. But I would like us to have a real hard collective look, not just as East, but as the entire district, on how to address the absenteeism. But also, as you guys are going out and figuring out and doing home visits and collecting data from individuals and families, to start asking them not only the whys, but what are the resources beyond the district that can support their child coming to school. We have a lot of community agencies and resources, and I know we talk about community schools, but all the community agencies are getting funding to serve this community, and they are part of this community, and we need to call them to action, not just by us paying them. They're already getting paid on some of these agencies, but asking them to step up to support us and the community with this piece here as well.
Right. And one of the so yes, and I'll tell you that at the lower school, where we yellow bus our students, attendance is much different, even though there are some chronic absenteeism, but kids typically come. And so at the upper school, because we have kids who don't live in the community, we see kids, if they miss that first bus on the other side of town, they reported that. So we're figuring, we're trying to, our job is to document all those things and then try to create a plan. And again, I thank Dan for allowing us to really to partner with other schools to see what they're doing and their interventions. I'm going to be honest with you, and I said this to Dan in private, in our 4 years, this is the first time that we've actually collaborated on real issues. And I don't want to understate that, like to really do it in a non-competitive way, where it's really about us combining our resources and doing things thoughtfully and systemically, not one-off things, but like systemically. And so Dan, I thank you for that. I've told you that in private. I think that if we work together, continue to work together, I think we're going to have a greater chance of finding solutions and not get caught in this cycle of failure. I also want to take some time to congratulate a bunch of students and our teacher, Tara at Worthington. She took a group of students to the Rochester Finger Lakes Science and Engineering Fair, our first time attending that event. It happened to be, and it was also in partnership with the Rochester Museum and Science Center. We had students present on a number of topics, Desiree, environmental awareness, Keith, lunchroom, to landfill. It was a pretty cool project looking at food waste and where it ends up and how it impacts our environment. Water issues that Carrie did and talked a lot about things that happened in Flint. And then Jalen, in his work as well, one of our stars there, star athletes, and Skylar, I always tell him that, who's going to be going to Syracuse, I believe, next year, and looking at how you create environmentally friendly stores. One of the interventions that we've done at East from day one is really trying to get our kids out in the community and take advantage of these fairs and expos that other suburban schools and rural kids are exposed to. And not doing it just as East kids, but opening up the door to other schools as well. And so the more that we collaborate, again, as a district and find these opportunities, I would expect to have this number double next year, more city school district students, because these are some pretty impactful projects. And then last but certainly not least, I want to remind the board and the community that on May 4th, there's a community schools forum. The forum will cover a number of topics. We're trying to have a number between 100 and 150 people there, so it's intimate. We're going to have, it'll be like an hour format. You can attend 2 sessions, education, policy, advocacy, health and wellness. And all of the partners that we have that we feel have had a positive impact on those topics are going to be in the panel. The first half an hour will be each of them giving a 5 to 8 minute overview of what they're doing in the community and how, and the impact they've had. And then the second half an hour is communities talking about how they may replicate or use some of those resources in their schools. This is for not just for city, it's for the entire Monroe County system. One great example of that is something I shared a few months ago with our Food Link partnership and our food pantry. This is a pantry where I think this year we're up to 175 kids so far who've actually used the food pantry, with almost 50 who use it almost weekly, getting food. So kids who are coming there and it's part of their routine now and getting food and taking it home to their families. And Food Link said, you know, we can put these in more schools throughout the county. And so they're going to sit and talk about how do you sign up as a school community to get food pantries in your food, in your schools. In the food pantry, we don't pay anything for that. We organize space, and they bring the food, and we have to set it up, and we create recipes for it. So if you walk in there, you'll see a can of beans next to a can of corn, next to a can of rice with some Cajun spice, and there's a recipe to how to make those things. So kids aren't just eating them in isolation, but they're looking at whole meals. And so this symposium will be there, and places like Food Link will be there to represent what they're doing for our greater community, but specifically at East. And that is my report. Thank you.
Any questions?
No, but I'll be at the
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
On slide 3, where you talk about the students that have dropped out.
Yeah.
I'm just confused at what is actually being stated in
Okay.
these columns.
Thanks. Yeah. Let me get to that slide. Commissioner Shepard. The dropout rate?
Yeah.
All right, so the dropout rate would be the number of kids who dropped out from any grade level 9 through 12 in a given year. So you might have a dropout rate, I'm just going to make this number up. You could have 20% of your seniors who've dropped out over the 4 years, but it's the year in which it's a total number of kids who drop out divided by the total population of kids in high school, and that's the indicator from the state. So it's not by cohort, it's the entire high school population. So they're looking at like how many kids are you losing per year. What this does, Natalie, is it prevents schools from just like in 1 year cleaning their books from 200 kids and saying, you know, we're done with them, because that'll show up in that particular year. So it holds schools accountable in 2 categories. One, dropout within the cohort, and then also how many kids are you losing per year within your school to dropout rates.
Yeah, so I understand that, but what you have on the slide here in the progress target.
Yep.
And then the goal, I'm confused at what the statement is saying. So it says
Okay.
10%, this means less than 67 scholars?
Yeah, so that means that, so all right, so we look at what's the number of kids that we have in the building that would meet that 10%. So 670 kids would be, would put us less than, anything greater than 67%, 67 students would put us above that measure.
Yeah, so, okay, so
Okay.
then further, I guess I'm
All right.
confused as to what will be the actual number as of best.
Right, so so right now, because it's not, I'm sorry, because the end of the school year hasn't happened yet, so we don't have that number, so that last column is blank because we don't have that actual number. So what that number just tells me is that the principals and the administrators are tracking that number carefully. so they know what that number is. So as it creeps up, they'll know and be able to predict, are we going to hit the goal or the target, or are we going to not meet its measure?
So can we know, like, right now where we're at? I mean, not at this second, but can you give that information?
We could do that, but yes, but I'll tell you that for kids who drop out, we do everything in our power to re-engage them throughout the year and have them re-enroll. So that number might fluctuate, but I can give you a snapshot where we are as of today.
So you guys have kids that drop out and then you engage them and some kids come back?
Yep, so some kids come back. We partner with NEED for their GED or task.
Yeah.
We're working with Marcellus over down at REOC next year. We have Ibero helps us out and we re-engages kids in some programs they have, or they come back to school. So we really try to get those kids back and they have and convince them that it's okay to graduate in 5 years or 6 years. Like if you can't do it in 4, we can have programs to keep you in. We're not going to get rid of you. And so I think kids hear that and we have a lot of kids who come back and re-enroll.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm just asking because the last time I had asked Dan as well in regards to the numbers in the rest of the district, because there are community agencies that are wondering where the kids go because they have the services that they can help them when they do drop out.
Okay.
So I would like to know what those numbers
Yep, we'll get you a snapshot right now where we are.
Can I have a follow-up on that?
Thank you.
So the community agencies, I mean, you mentioned a few, and I'm just wondering if they're dropping out, if they're even eligible to do the task, because they have to be.
They may not be.
They may not be. So are we holding them on to our enrollment on the books, but then they're going to a community agency to do the prep work, and then?
So we hold them on our books until they finish their program. And I know that's like, it's counterproductive.
Yeah, that kind of sounds a little funny to me, Sean.
No, it's not. No. It's not funny. It's actually, it hurts the school by keeping them. The easier thing was to just drop them out and then put them in a program. And that's how you kind of can hide them. We keep them on our books. I mean, we're going to get dinged for attendance or dropout. It doesn't matter. You're going to get dinged for them. So I think the moral thing to do is keep them on the books. And so you can track them and progress monitor them and support them. And then when they finish the program,
But they're not attending our school and they're not eligible for tests until they're age eligible for their graduation cohort.
You're gonna get dinged from the state from dropout, or you're gonna get dinged from the state from attendance, or you get dinged for both. So what I'm saying is so the easy thing for schools to do is to drop the kids out and just let them be.
Well, let me ask you this.
Which is not the right thing to do, but that's the.
Right, because we keep them on our books, but there's a benefit for us to keep them on our books. I hear what you're saying. We're going to get kind of penalized either way, but which one is the less of the being dinged?
Let me clarify that. Okay, so if you're asking, do we keep them on our books and not service them? The answer is no. If if they re-enroll, so kick and drop out, and then they're not counted towards attendance, but they're still counted as a dropout. If we find them and we re-enroll them.
But you're saying re-enroll them in your school or re-enroll them into a community program for tests?
Re-enroll them into the school, and then they could attend a community program. So for example, at NEED, kids are on our roster, but they go to NEED for 2 to 6 hours a day to work on their task. And then when they're ready for that, after taking a series of practice tests, then they have to drop to take the task. And then they take the task and they move on.
But they also have to stay till they're eligible to take the task, because they might not be at an age where they're eligible to take a task. I would like us to have further dialogue about that piece. My other question is, why are we enrolling them in a task program that's not within the district when we do have OASIS? And that is a program where if they were to drop from one school and enrolled in OASIS, wouldn't we get credit for that? Because that is the program that's approved for the district for the task piece?
I think
Dan,
it depends
Sean.
on their, I think it depends on their age, first of all. And usually they have to be out for a while before they can be re-enrolled in like the OASIS. But can you guys help me?
I think you're talking.
We can put it on the question log.
Yeah.
I think
what's complex about your question, and it's a great question, is that kids can choose to. There's like official dropout age, but kids can leave school whenever they want. So there are some kids who say they're dropped out, but they're just not attending. And so you try to re-engage them as much as you can. There are just several programs that for them. NEED was designed for kids that were like 20, 19 or 20 who have been out of school for many years that we went and found and got them to come back and to take the task because that was a better option for them to not have anything. And then I think there's a third category of kids who are still in school. They're telling their principals we're not going to finish I have no credits, and then just prepare me for the task, and they would attend a program like RELC or the Adult Learning Center or other programs like that. So our original contract with NEED was to go after the 1920s, almost 21-year-olds. That program, we said after 4 years that program would fade away, and we would fold back in with either RELC or OASIS, depending on which kids need which services. So to your point, yes, we've been, I wouldn't say eliminating, we've been phasing out vendors and contracts over the years. NEED was an alignment for like 3 or 4 years, and I think we don't have as many kids who are 20 years old anymore because we're tracking those kids much sooner. So yes, we do use district programs for some kids, and other programs we don't.
Okay.
Yep.
Any other questions?
No, but I'll submit a formal question, a little bit more in depth about this particular topic for you both, because I would be interested to see both responses. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Now it is time for consideration of resolutions. I need a motion to discuss Resolution 768. Been moved by Commissioner Hallmark. Is there a second? Second by Vice President Elliott. Any questions or comments regarding Resolution 768? There being no questions or comments, all those in favor of Resolution 768 say aye. Aye. Any opposition?
No for me.
Madam Clerk, you got that? No? I need a motion to discuss Resolution 769. It's been moved by Commissioner Powell, seconded by Commissioner Hallmark. Any questions or comments regarding Resolution 769? I want to say to Dan and to your entire team, including, of course, Carl and all those folks that worked on this, I think this was a blessing in a number of different ways. I should note, my only concern about it is I look at a lot of the names on that sheet, and there's a lot of people that I know personally. Of course, I don't know all those folks, but the few that I do know, they're really qualified, capable, caring individuals, and I worry, as anybody would, how we're going to replace that kind of institutional knowledge. But I know, Dan, you and your entire team are on top of that. I know I was at a meeting last night at Ben Franklin, Men of Color, and I know that I saw one of your representatives from the human capital was there, and I know you guys are on that. So, but good job. I think it saved us a lot of heartache, and I know at least a few of those folks on there, and while they will be missed, I think they're looking forward to their retirement. So I think in some ways, this was a win-win situation. So again, thank you for that good work, that diligence. Any other comments about 769? There being no further comments, all those in favor of Resolution 769 say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Finally, I need a motion to discuss Resolution 770 to 772. Is there a motion? Commissioner Hallmark, seconded by Commissioner LeBron. Yep, we're good. Any questions or comments regarding Resolution 770 to 772?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Why are we at this point entering into an agreement with the U of R? This is going to start April 15th as opposed to starting at the beginning of the school year.
Okay. Grant?
Or doing, I guess I'm not exactly sure the timing of this and when it will be used.
It's, good evening, Board. It's my understanding that it's a grant-based opportunity with the U of R, and the monies have to be spent before the end of May. So it's just a short period of time, helping teachers around the area of writing, becoming more proficient at teaching young people how to write. So it's just one of those short grants.
So what group is this that's going to participate in this? Are they teachers who are literacy teachers, or who is?
English teachers.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Powell? No? I did want to remark with respect to 772, this relates to school number 29. I'm not sure if I have this right, Dan, but I know that Ray was one of the people working on students. I seem to recall you talking about students coming from other districts into our district. And although they're not doing it in droves just yet, this is a good sign. I think we should celebrate, one of the performance measures ought to be, and I've said this for years, the number of students that we bring back into the district or we attract to the district. We don't have to always look at our performance from a deficit point of view. I think if we continue to do the things that we've done and continue to be creative and bold, we can set as a performance objective increasing the number of students. I don't know why we can't think bigger and better and bolder. I know it's difficult with all the criticisms, but I would say to you, Dan, we should, or I would say to my colleagues, maybe we should say to our next superintendent, one of your performance indicators is the increase in the number of students who come to this district. I think it's possible. I do, and I think we have to believe that.
And we know, except, and I got to admit that I said no to these two individuals, but they are kids with significant needs, and so while we're glad to take and help all students, really, the truth is that the suburbs should be doing an equal job of presenting the type of programs their kids need. And these are two kids that we're going to help until the end of the year, or as long as they need it. And it's really Keisha Morgan coming and saying that, we really need to help these kids. And that is the way we approach really all of our kids.
And it suggests, too, that we have a mindset, as you indicate in your comment, to help folks. That is what public servants are supposed to do. Plus, it also indicates, maybe someone would say I'm a little bit too optimistic, that we have resources and abilities and experiences that they don't have to help these kids. I mean, that's an asset. So thank you, everybody on your team, for doing that. All right, any other questions or comments regarding 770 to 772? There being no further comments or questions, all those in favor of resolution 770 to 772 say aye. Aye.
And no to 770. No to 770.
772?
No.
No, 770.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Okay, yes, ma'am.
before you move to new business, we do have a financial report from East. I move that the board accept this report for the month of March.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Hallmark has seconded that. Any questions or comments regarding that financial report? Everybody has it. It was in your packet.
And there is a PowerPoint that talks through the significant differences.
Thank you. There being no further questions or comments regarding that financial report for the EPO, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
I'm sorry?
We're not going to present this?
We can if you'd like them to.
Yeah, it's the first time we're seeing it.
All right. If you can't do the PowerPoint, that's fine, because we have copies of it up here at the dais, so. Oh, you got it?
There it is. I thought I was going home, so.
Not yet.
But it's nice to know that you wanted, so that's good. All right, well, thank you. I know it's been a long evening, and we're just continuing on with our, thank you, our financial journey this year. It's hard to think about the fact that we only have 2.5 months left in the school year. And as you can see by the presentation, we're in very favorable standing for the remaining of the school year, the remainder of the school year at $593,000 in a positive variance. And we are fully expecting to be able to return funds to the district at the end of this school year as unexpended funds again. So let's take a look at that. Most of this you've already seen through previous presentations, so I'm not going to go into a lot of detail with it.
With the compensation, it's the same as I spoke to you about at our last meeting when we addressed the financials. The variance there is caused by the reduction in staffing that we had, and that trend will just continue through the remaining portion of the school year. So you'll just see that number continue to increase. With regard to the cash outlay, excuse me, it must have gone up. Okay, with regard to the capital cash outlay, the expenditures there, you see that we have a positive variance of $114,000. Again, as I shared at a previous meeting, in the 17-18 school year, we had invested a great deal into the actual campus at East. Now that we have fully entered into the facilities modernization plan, those expenditures now that we would be otherwise investing into the campus are now being covered by the FMP. So you will see a positive variance there, as we will not be having recurring expenditures. When you look at our facilities-related expenditures and technology, you're seeing a positive variance there of $59,000 and change. With that, what we're looking at is the reduction in, when we talk about the reduction in consumable materials being used for curriculum and just paperwork handing out to staff, that type of thing. When you're looking to see what would be causing that kind of a positive impact, I don't know how familiar you are with Google Docs, but that would be one such example. So you have a live document that can be changed and updated as people go along, so you don't need a hard copy print any longer. Also in 17-18, we invested in instructional as well as non-instructional software. And with any software that you bring into a program, you're going to have an upcharge, meaning, and I'm not saying that in a negative way, but what you have is the front-end cost for the professional development on that software and how to use it, the best way to utilize it, and then you'll have the initial charges getting the program up and going, and then in subsequent years that will obviously back down and become more normalized. The category of miscellaneous and all other variable expenditures is actually greater in 18-19 than what it was in 17-18. And I want to explain that to you because sometimes when you think about miscellaneous, you think of non-important or all other catch-all. What's in here actually is the professional services that we contract with our vendors. And so when you're taking a look at that, where we are in March, we have not yet fully recognized the community schools grant payback to the general fund for the expenditures that we have encountered. And so once you take into consideration the expenditures that will be moved under grant funding, you will be moving right now at this point in time in March $208,000 from the general fund into the grant or special aid fund. That will actually result in a $94,000 positive variance for that code. So when all is said and done, we will be looking at an adjusted positive variance at the end of March of $801,000. With all that, again, being said, we are looking to return to the district $2.5 million at the end of the school year in our projection. Do you have any questions?
I'm sure, Dan, you won't reject that, will you?
Well, I have one. Everton, did we figure on 2.0 or 2.5?
I think they're talking about current year, not next year.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. In 18-19 being returned, yes.
Okay.
Your number always increases. Yeah.
It better. Okay.
Okay, any questions? Thank you very much. Okay, we need to vote on the financial report. All those in favor of the EPO financial report say aye. Aye. Any opposition? Thank you again. We have new business. The only item on for new business, I put this on here. You all, if you look in your inboxes, you received a email from one of our former, I guess maybe current, parent reps from one of our committees. Toyin, many of you know her. She served diligently and faithfully on the ESA committee. And I met with her, and she was rightly concerned about the fact that, and I know this wasn't intentional on our part, that very viable role that parents played in representing the voice of parents in our committee structure had been totally removed. And again, I think we were just trying to, as a board, figure out a way to creatively and positively respond to some of the concerns expressed by the distinguished educator, Dr. Kino. But in the process, we forgot, and I take responsibility for this, for not expressing, wait a second, this was something that the board did good several years ago, very positive, very productive. You guys can think of committee members that were parents that sat on those those 5 committees, and they provided invaluable insight. So the question posed by her in that email, again, I think it was sent yesterday, was that she would like to see a role for parents. I think that's a reasonable expectation, particularly if we decide after this 6-month experiment that we're not going to resume having committees. So I just wanted to get you all's thoughts on that. Commissioner Powell?
I'm not sure what our committees are going to look like at the end of the 6-month experiment, but we also have the dilemma that, as far as I can tell, the Parent Advisory Council has not made a commitment to return to their original bylaws or to write a new set of bylaws that would conform to our policy. So it seems to me that the parents who might be feeling disenfranchised right now need to be investing their time in restarting the District Parent Council according to the resolution that we passed last year.
Yep. When do you want to respond to that?
I do want to second that, and I think there's a combination of things that inadvertently happened with putting the committee structures on hold. I will like us to, we can spend some time with Toyin and other parents to just figure out moving forward, if we decide not to restart committee structures, what role can parents have and in which ways can they communicate and advocate with us? Because I was just saying, even with this hearing, I personally hate this process with the public hearings. I hate that people come here for 2 minutes and we don't get to respond and interact and have meaningful dialogue about the concerns that they have. And although they can reach out to us individually, I would like us as a board to consider how to move forward in a more meaningful, engaging way overall with the community, figure out how do we bring parents to the table. I strongly believe it is through PAC, but I also know that our PAC is not strong enough. That's why we wrote the resolution, so that we can also stop certain exclusions or this process of interviewing parents to be an advocate, which is mind-boggling to me. So I would like this board to consider all those things, like community engagement, parents' involvement, and meaningful dialogue and conversations. But also PAC, absolutely, I want to second that and support that. We need to figure out what to do with PAC.
Okay. Vice President Elliott?
Yeah, let me respond to that, to what Commissioner Powell said and to what Commissioner LeBron said about PAC. One of the things that we did when that resolution was passed is that we did not talk to PAC. I've been down there, met with them. They were pretty upset that the board passed that resolution without talking to them, because if we would have spoke with them, we would have understood better why they made some of the decisions that they made. And so we prematurely passed that, and there was no conversation with PAC. Now, when I was at the meeting, that's what they said to me. And so I think what we have to do, we can't just enter into these decisions blindly without respecting the bodies that, in fact, this board put together. And so I think that before we say anything about that group, let's go talk to them so that we're all on the same page. Because that resolution was passed and without any conversation with those members. And where they may not have as many parents and that kind of thing, give them the opportunity to express themselves. That's one of the reasons why they sort of stopped coming and making presentations to this body, because they feel disrespected. And so in order to try to bridge that, I think we need to have some conversation with them. I think we need to, all of us, meet with them, you know, in some kind of informal setting so we really understand what the issues are there.
So can I just add, though, I want to go back and say that from my perspective, that's not what happened. I did meet with them. You were at that meeting. Commissioner Powell was at that meeting. At the time, Melanie Funches was at that meeting. Commissioner Shepard was at that meeting. And in addition, I invited parents to come to that meeting, specifically to, one, learn more about PAC, see how they can be involved. And I was running late that day, and when I got there, PAC was kicking parents out. That's how all of this started. So then I did research the current bylaws that they had, their history in the district. At one point, there was a previous PAC that was dissolved by a school board. I don't know if all the members that are here now are here on that process, but I did do a lot of research on that. There were lots of emails that went out, and my understanding was that President White was supposed to go and follow up and talk with them, and I did see an email between President White and PAC leaders that was going back and forth around these similar conversations and the issues that stemmed out of those parents being denied the meeting.
Because apparently there still is some unresolved issues. I think it's a matter of respect and respecting those parents.
But it has to go both ways, Commissioner Elliott. I invited parents there to be involved in PAC, to learn more about it, and they told these parents that they could not be in a public meeting where there were 4 more commissioners.
What I'm